Welcome back to the channel and happy holidays. I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying some family time or getting ready to, if you're not off already for Christmas. But I just wanted to update you guys with some recent sales on eBay. Mint on cards for this video. Almost all of them are auctions, although I do have a few make an offer situations. Mostly good deals. Some that were a little bit of an overpay, and we're going to start off with one that I think was a pretty big overpay, in my opinion, okay? No offense if you happen to be the one that bought it, but this was a yellowed blister 21 back A Snaggletooth graded AFA 80+. Now, it was listed for $18.50 and sold for $16.65 based on the information I found on 130point.com. So it shows sold $18.50. I was like, really? $18.50? How about $8.50? That's what I would put the value at most, and even that's probably high. But it actually did sell for $16.65. So Snaggletooth and a lot of other 21 backs, they have really gone down in price. They really have. And Greedo is probably the only exception. That one continues to hold its value very well. If this was an AFA 80+ clear blister Greedo on a 21 back, yes, $16.65 all day long. But Snaggletooth on the 21 back in a yellowed blister, it should, I mean, honestly, I think in an auction, this goes for like $600 max. Maybe at the top end, $800, but even that's probably ridiculous. So this was, to me, a big-time overpay, and you got to be really careful on that. This is one where there's probably 10 different closed transactions on Hakes. If you just want some rough data to get an idea of what it's worth, go to the Hakes closed auctions and check it out, because I'm sure that there would be many of them that have sold. Let's do it right now, shall we? This is really compelling TV, I know, but let's go to Hakes, and this is what I would do. I go to Hakes.com. I would type in 21 back Snaggletooth, and then just keep it broad. Just say AFA. Search. And you can see how many there are. There are, like 10, right? And again, this one was a yellowed blister. A clear blister, this one right here is a good example. Clear blister, 21 back B, AFA 80, sold for $12.98. That was in 2021, so maybe not the most recent data. Here's another one, a 21 back A. This is the card we're looking at. This one closed in March of 2023, clear blister, AFA 80+, and that one sold for $17.45. Now, again, $17.45 feels to me like a high number. That's not a number I'd probably pay personally, but that's what someone paid. It was probably in the Jeff Jacobs auction. No, this was in 2023, so this was an older deal. Now, 2023, the market was a lot hotter, right? You can make an argument prices have come down since then. Let's see if we can find anything else that might make sense. There's some ESB 21 back transition cards. That doesn't count. This one sold for $12.98. That was in 2021. No deal there. So maybe my number's a little low, but to me, being a yellowed blister, you can't spend clear blister money or more, in this case more, at $16.65 for a yellowed blister. And I personally think on early cards like 21 backs and Star Wars 12 backs, I think that you can probably cut the price by at least 40%. When it's yellowed, at least off of a clear blister price, if everything's equal. So I didn't want to dig too far into that, but you get the general idea of what you do. I mean, you can find similar items, similar grades, and kind of back into a price. It's not always going to be exact. 2021 to 2020, end of 2022, 23, early 23, the prices were really high. They've come down since then, right, for most items. And especially something as common as a 21A Snaggletooth. There's plenty of them out there. No need to overpay like this one, in my opinion. Here was an interesting one. This was a 20 back H Sand People. I thought this was a particularly good deal at $265. And you can see the H backs had the rectangular offer extension sticker for the Boba Fett mail away. This was in really good shape too. Really good shape overall. You know, some light dimples on the top of the blister, some light edge, crease around the hang tab there, but overall very clean. Now, this seller actually reached out to me. I think it's the same person. They reached out to me and said, hey, where should I list this? And I think the biggest problem was that this seller didn't have any feedback. They had zero feedback when they were listing these at auction. They already closed on one and somebody did give positive feedback for it. But I personally wouldn't start off with fairly expensive items for your first time on eBay if you don't have an eBay account, because people are not going to trust it, that it's a legit sale, especially if you had zero feedback like this seller did originally before some items closed and mailed off. So you can see some light issues with it. It looks like it's got a little punch or something there in the bottom right of the racetrack, a little ding on the bottom there. He did a good job of showing the defects. You can see the figure itself has got some discoloration to the legs. So not perfect, okay? It's not perfect, but $265 I think is a pretty decent deal for a relatively more difficult to find 20 back with that offer extension sticker. So good deal there. Same seller also had a 32 back B Yoda, the debut card. This one did have a blister ding, which held the price down to $250. But otherwise, pretty decent example. Probably a 75 grade, or maybe a 70 grade with that crease on the right-hand side of the card by the racetrack. But, budget-friendly type of item. Another budget-friendly example, this one was pretty rough, but this one was the 21 back Luke with the crease going all the way through the card. This was sold by Corral Electronics Memory Cards. They watch my channel. He emailed me and said, thanks for featuring my items. So that one sold for $330, which I think is fair given the damage to the card. Again, budget-friendly. It's not easy to find a 21 back Luke X-Wing for sub $400, and that one was pretty nice other than the crease going through it. I think it would display great inside a acrylic case. LM Lane had this beautiful 47 back 4-lime offer for the AT-AT driver. You can see a ding on the top of the blister there, but again, a very budget-friendly item given that it's clear blister and presents very nicely. Not a grade quality item because of that blister issue on the top right, but I would say this is pretty easily a 75 grade still. And that one sold for $338, which is a great deal, I think. My buddy 90s Records, this is a channel supporter and a friend of mine. So go check out 90s Records. He's always listing very occasionally some Star Wars items that are kind of budget friendly. And this one was the 48 back B for the 21B medical droid, clear blister. And this actually has the sticker for the Admiral Akbar offer instead of printed like the 48 back C's. But again, a very nice card. This to me screams Empire Strikes Back. It's one of my favorite character card back combinations. The 48 back B or C for the 21B medical droid, just because of the blue. It just really pops nicely. And I thought this was a really good deal for what it was. I mean, it had a crack to the torso of the 21B medical droid, which is crazy. You wonder how that happened, right? Who knows? But anyway, I just thought it was a cool item. And it sold for $152.50, a very fair price there. Same seller had a 77 back Luke X-Wing, yellowed blister, but pretty decent shape. It had, some shadows, sticker residue near the logo. $215.33. These can routinely go over $400 in high grade. And this was in pretty decent grade. I mean, it's 75 grade, I'd say. And the same seller also had a Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. This one was the green saber, and this one I think is the Taiwan. Yeah, Taiwan figure. And, again, these are all budget friendly, but nice deal at $234.50 as well. And then he had this beautiful Power of the Force Jawa. That was unpunched and in pretty good shape, probably 75 grade, 75 plus grade condition. That one sold at $282, which I thought was a very good deal. This one was also another Power of the Force Jawa that was in pretty similar condition that sold at $273. So that gives you a rough idea of about a 75 grade Jawa on the Power of the Force card. In higher grade, they can go for over $400 very routinely. So I thought those were both very good deals for the Jawa. Next up, JFK Solver, one of my favorites. I don't know the seller at all, but man, they've had some really hot items here lately. And they've been selling for arguably way below market. So I don't know why, but he's got 100% positive feedback with over 4,400 transactions. But man, this Forlom is the poor man's debut card, as I like to call it, the 48 back C, 85, 80, 80, clear blister, unpunched, no price sticker for 462. I mean, those used to be in this grade, used to be like $700 to $800 easily. So that was a great deal for an AFA 80. He also had a 41 back E for IG88. It was labeled clear blister, but it looks like it's starting to maybe yellow. It definitely is yellowing a little bit on the blister. But AFA 80, 41 back E, IG88, 80, 85, 90 subscores. That one sold for $382, which I would say is probably in line with market given the yellowing to the blister. Clear blister, that should be over $500 all day long. Next up, he had a 41D Bosk, also slightly yellow blister, but in excellent condition. This one was very clean. Punched example, Ben Franklin, one of my Ben Franklin and Woolworths, man. Those bring back the memories, man. I love Ben Franklin. 306 for that one. Again, very fair for the yellowing to the blister, if not even a little low. Then we get into some other ones. We got the 48 back A offerless Cloud Car Pilot. That sold for $450-ish. Clear blister, unpunched, no price sticker, very clean, probably an 80 grade easily. And I thought that was a very good deal at $450. Zuckus on the 48 back A. Again, another tough to find offerless card. Anything 48A is very tough to find. This one was also clear blister, unpunched with a price sticker. That sold at $482. Again, I think that those, he showed some very light wear around the hang tab, but I still think this is an 80 grade. Even if you gave it a 75 for the card score, I think it very easily gets 80s for the other sub scores. 482 is a very good deal for that. And then he had the Luke Gunner card on the 77 back. Don't you guys feel like we've had so many 77A alternate image Luke Gunners lately? I mean, this has got to be the fifth one this month. It's like every month we get one. That one sold for $925. Again, a very good deal for the condition. I thought that one was probably an 80 grade condition. Obviously yellow blister, but $925, you could make an argument that you could get that graded and flip it for $1,500 pretty easily. I thought that was a good deal. It was punched, so maybe that holds it back a little bit. And then finally, from this same seller, we had a Max Rebo band graded AFA 80. That sold for $637. Man, that seems low to me. I mean, that's just me, but I was trying to find the label. There it is. Yeah, see, this was labeled clear blister, 80, 85, 80. And when I look at the blister on this, it looks clear to me. It looks clear to me. I don't know if it is for sure, but I mean, that feels like a really good deal for an AFA 80 at $637. You could make an argument it might be a little overgraded just given all the scuffing to the front of the box. But I feel like with vehicles and some of these play sets and some of these larger wonky items, I feel like they do tend to grade a little faster and looser than if those same scuffs were on a mint on card. That's just kind of how I feel. But, we've seen a number of like AT-ATs and Millennium Falcons and some other vehicles and play sets that have had those kind of light scuffing on there that, in all fairness, they probably do come out of the box, out of the Kenner box, shipper box like that because they just rub together in shipping. But, you like that? I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. 637.08 though. That feels like a good deal to me. And it looks clear blister. Now we have another one. This one was still sealed to the backer card, but it was no longer factory sealed. I've got a bug like buzzing around my face. It drives me nuts. Here's the backer cards there. You can see it looks like it's still factory sealed. Even inside the blister, Max Rebo has the whitening going on the face and the arms. I don't know what it is about the plastic they used, but yeah, both of them, they have the whitening to the face and the arms and the legs also. The legs on this one are a little lighter too, but anyway. So anyway, sealed to the backer card, $222 on that one. That's not really a mint on card, but I included it because it sold around the same time as the AFA graded example. Next up, I've got a Power of the Force Imperial Dignitary. That one did sell for $300. I think that one probably grades very well. It looks like a very clean example. Punched example, but probably an 80. It does have a light crease right there in the back, but so what? I mean, you know, loose complete Imperial Dignitaries are like $200-ish, maybe a little less. AFA graded. This one's got no nose rub either, which is nice. I think that grades an 80 pretty easily. $300 for that one. And then we got some buy it nows or making offers on these. This was a clear blister 65 back A AT-AT driver. It did have some litho damage from where they tried to take off the price sticker. Stop doing that. That one sold for 300. Excuse me, it was listed for 300 and sold for 250. 250 on that. Now, it'll probably worth 450 if you hadn't tried to take off the sticker. Ugh. Next up, we had an EV99. This was a Power of the Force. Really nice example overall. You can see the card there. Just, you know, fairly moderate yellowing, but overall a very clean example. Punched example, no price sticker. Listed for $589, sold for $464, $463.50 if you want to be exact. But I thought that was a pretty decent deal as well. Just given that, you know, a loose complete one without the coin can go for what, $300 easily. And then finally, we had a 47 back Yoda. This one is a little tougher to find because it had the brown snake. Anytime you find a brown snake Yoda on a ESB card, take notice because it is nicer to get those. You can see the brown snake. It was a yellowed blister. I don't know what's going on with the paint applications for those eyes. I mean, Yoda looks like he has been playing with stims or whatever they call it. Spice. He's been playing with with spice dealers, or he is a spice dealer. You know that cauldron he was stirring inside his Dagobah hut? I don't think that was porridge. I think that might have been stim or spice or whatever. Or maybe he sprinkled some spice on his porridge because he looks. He's had too much of eggnog. I think too much eggnog for Yoda. Anyway, I thought it was a cool item though, and unpunched, and that one was listed for $400. And was listed and sold for $350. $350 was the best offer accepted on that. Now you'll notice that the blister on this on the right hand side has got that kind of weird wave that you see in the light. That's just overheating from the factory. The 47 backs and especially the 48 backs, they were notorious for really terrible seals on the card. The blister, how they were sealed. The 48 backs are notorious on the stems. The stems always have pinching or weird kind of overwraps, and so just if you see that, don't freak out. It's very common. It's not a crack to the blister if it's right around the seams. It's just an overheating issue or an overwrap from where they sealed the figure on, and it's just the 47 and 48 backs especially were notorious for that. Anyway, that's all I really got for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon.